The pain hit first. Sharp, burning, like someone had carved out a piece of her and forgotten to put it back. Lily's eyes opened slowly, the hospital room blurring into focus. White ceiling, beeping machines, the metallic smell of antiseptic mixed with something else. Something wrong. Her hand moved instinctively to her left side, where thick bandages pressed against her skin under the thin hospital gown. "Mrs. Cooper, you're awake." A nurse appeared beside the bed, checking the IV drip. "How are you feeling?" Lily tried to speak, but her mouth was dry, her tongue thick. What happened?" The nurse smiled, that professional smile that meant absolutely nothing. "The surgery went well. Dr. Harrison will be in shortly to discuss everything with you." Surgery. The word echoed in Lily's foggy mind. Yes, surgery. She was here for surgery. She was donating her kidney to her Uncle Robert, who had been on dialysis for 2 years. Sweet, gentle Uncle Robert, who had walked her down the aisle when her own father refused to come to her wedding. Uncle Robert, who told terrible jokes at family dinners and always remembered her birthday. "My name is Lily Cooper. I'm 29 years old. 4 days ago, I was a medical billing specialist living a normal, quiet life in Portland with my husband, Marcus. We'd been married for 3 years. No kids yet, but we were talking about it. I had a decent job at a hospital downtown, a small but cozy apartment, and a sister I would have trusted with my life. Past tense. Would have trusted. Something felt wrong. The pain was in the wrong place. When they'd explained the donor surgery, Dr. Harrison had been specific about the incision location. Left side, they'd said. But this pain, it was lower. Different. "Where's my husband?" Lily asked, her voice cracking. "Where's Marcus?" The nurse's smile faltered for just a second. "He stepped out about an hour ago. Said he needed to make some calls. I'm sure he'll be back soon." An hour ago. How long had she been unconscious? The door opened and Dr. Harrison walked in, a tall man in his 50s with graying hair and tired eyes. Behind him came someone Lily didn't recognize, a younger doctor with a clipboard and an expression that made her stomach drop. "Mrs. Cooper," Dr. Harrison began, pulling up a chair beside her bed, "I need to explain what happened during your surgery." "What do you mean, explain?" "I donated my kidney to my uncle. That's what happened, right?" The doctors exchanged a glance. That glance. The one that meant your whole world was about to shift on its axis. "Mrs. Cooper, there were some complications with the planned procedure." Dr. Harrison's voice was careful, measured. "Your Uncle Robert didn't receive your kidney." Lily's heart started pounding. "What? Where is it then? Where's my kidney?" "Your husband Marcus signed additional consent forms just before your surgery. He informed us there had been a change of plans regarding the recipient." The room started spinning. "A change of plans? What change? Uncle Robert is dying. He needs—" "Your kidney was allocated to a different recipient through an expedited private arrangement." The younger doctor spoke now, his voice flat, clinical. "These arrangements are legal when properly documented and—" "Who?" Lily's voice came out as a whisper. "Who has my kidney?" Dr. Harrison looked down at his hands. "I'm not at liberty to disclose that information. Patient confidentiality protects both donors and recipients in private organ transplants." "Patient confidentiality? That's my organ. That's my body." Lily tried to sit up, but pain shot through her side, forcing her back down. "You can't just... Marcus can't just..." But even as she said it, fragments of memory were starting to surface. Little things she'd ignored. Dismissed. Pushed away, because acknowledging them would mean admitting her perfect little life was built on sand. 3 weeks ago, Marcus had been on the phone late at night, speaking in hushed tones. When Lily had asked who he was talking to, he'd said it was just work stuff. "Nothing to worry about, babe." 2 weeks ago, She'd seen a text notification on his phone screen. The deposit cleared. Everything set for the 15th. She'd asked about it. He'd kissed her forehead and told her he was planning a surprise. 1 week ago, her sister Jade had stopped by the apartment while Marcus was out. Jade had looked different, nervous, guilty. She'd hugged Lily longer than usual and said, "I'm sorry for everything." When Lily had asked what she meant, Jade had just shaken her head. "Nothing. Forget it. I love you." At the time, Lily thought Jade was being dramatic. Her younger sister had always been emotional, impulsive. Lily was the stable one, the responsible one, the one who made careful decisions and married a reliable man with a steady job in pharmaceutical sales. "Mrs. Cooper, I understand this is upsetting." Dr. Harrison stood up. "But legally, your husband had the authority to modify the recipient designation. The surgery was performed ethically and—" "Get out." Lily's voice was cold now, the shock crystallizing into something sharper. "Both of you, get out." They left. The door clicked shut. Lily lay there in the sterile white room, staring at the ceiling, her mind racing. Marcus had changed the recipient, without telling her, while she was unconscious. He'd stolen her choice, her agency, her literal flesh, and given it to someone else. But who? And why? Her phone. She needed her phone. Lily reached for the small table beside the bed, searching for her belongings. The drawer was empty except for her wedding ring, which they must have removed before surgery. She picked it up, the diamond catching the fluorescent light. 3 years. 3 years of marriage, of trust, of believing Marcus when he said he'd always have her back. The door opened again. Lily's heart leaped, hoping, despite everything, that it was Marcus, that he'd have some explanation that would make this make sense. But it wasn't Marcus. It was her mother, Patricia, and the look on her face told Lily everything she needed to know. Patricia's eyes were red from crying, but there was something else there too. Rage. Pure, maternal rage. "Mom?" Lily's voice broke. "What's going on? Where's Marcus? Where's Uncle Robert?" Patricia crossed the room and took Lily's hand, squeezing it so hard it hurt. "Baby, I need you to stay calm. Can you do that for me?" "Mom, you're scaring me." "Robert is fine. Well, not fine, but stable. He's still on dialysis." Patricia's jaw clenched. "Your kidney didn't go to him." "I know. The doctors said Marcus changed the recipient, but they won't tell me who." "It went to Jade." The words landed like a physical blow. Lily stopped breathing. "What?" "Your sister. Jade has your kidney." That's not possible. Jade is fine. She's healthy. She doesn't need—" "She was never sick, baby." Patricia's voice cracked. "Marcus sold your kidney. He arranged a private transplant through some black market connection in his pharmaceutical network. Jade paid him $150,000 for it." The room tilted. Lily thought she might throw up. No, that's insane. Jade wouldn't— We're sisters. Marcus and Jade have been having an affair for 8 months. Patricia's words came out in a rush, like she'd been holding them in too long. "They used the money to book a luxury honeymoon in Bali. They're leaving tomorrow." Lily's vision blurred. This couldn't be real. This had to be a nightmare. Some horrible side effect of the anesthesia. "How do you know this?" The question came out flat, emotionless. Patricia pulled out her phone and opened her email. "Jade's boyfriend, ex-boyfriend now, sent me these this morning. He found messages between them." Lily took the phone with shaking hands. The screen showed a forwarded email thread. Messages between Marcus and Jade. Weeks of messages. Months. Marcus. Found a buyer. Rich tech guy needs a kidney. No questions asked. $150K cash. Jade. That's insane. You can't seriously be suggesting. Marcus. Think about it. Lily was giving it away for free anyway. At least this way. We get something out of it. We get our future. Jade. What about Robert? Marcus. Robert can wait for another donor. This is our chance, baby. Our fresh start. Jade. And Lily? Marcus. Lily will never know. By the time she wakes up, it'll be done. We'll be on a plane to Bali, and she'll think she's a hero for saving some stranger's life. The phone slipped from Lily's hands onto the bed. Where are they now? Her voice sounded strange, distant, like it belonged to someone else. I don't know. Marcus hasn't been back since before your surgery. Jade's not answering her phone. Lily looked down at her bandaged side. They had cut her open, taken a piece of her, sold it, used her body as a commodity, a transaction, a stepping stone to their happiness, and they thought she'd never find out. The door opened again. This time it was Marcus, carrying 2 coffees and wearing that easy smile she'd fallen in love with 5 years ago, the smile that now looked like a mask. Hey, babe, you're awake. He crossed the room, completely oblivious to Patricia's presence, to the phone on the bed, to the way Lily was looking at him like he was a stranger. How are you feeling? The doctor said everything went great. You're a hero, Lily. You saved someone's life. Patricia stood up slowly, positioning herself between Marcus and the bed. Get away from my daughter. Marcus finally noticed her, his smile faltering. Patricia, hey. I didn't see you there. Look, I know you're upset about the recipient change, but I can explain. You sold her kidney. Patricia's voice was deadly quiet. You sold my daughter's kidney to fund your affair with her sister. The coffee cups fell from Marcus's hands, splattering across the floor. His face went white. That's not... Who told you? Is it true? Lily's voice cut through the room like a knife. Marcus turned to her, his mouth opening and closing. Lily, I can explain. This isn't what it looks like. I was going to tell you, I swear, Is it true? He stared at her for a long moment. And then, because he'd always been a coward under that charming smile, he ran. He turned and bolted out of the room, his footsteps echoing down the hospital corridor. Patricia started after him, but Lily called her back. Let him go, Mom. Baby, I'm so sorry. I should have told you sooner. I just found out this morning and... It's okay. Lily's voice was calm now. Too calm. The kind of calm that comes when you're standing in the eye of a hurricane. I need you to do something for me. Anything. Call Uncle Robert's lawyer, the one who handles medical malpractice cases. Lily reached for her wedding ring on the table, holding it up to the light. And find me Detective Morrison from the Portland PD, the one who investigated that organ trafficking ring last year. Patricia's eyes widened. Lily, what are you... They thought I'd be too weak to fight back, too trusting, too naive. Lily closed her fist around the ring. They thought wrong. She looked at her mother, and for the first time since waking up, she smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile of someone who just realized they had nothing left to lose and everything to gain. Mom, I need my laptop, and my phone, and every single document I can get about Marcus's pharmaceutical connections. Lily's mind was already racing ahead, pieces clicking into place. They took something from me while I slept. Now it's my turn. What are you going to do? Lily thought about Marcus's smug smile, about Jade's guilty hug, about the months of lies and the stolen piece of her body currently keeping some stranger alive. I'm going to make sure they regret the day they ever thought I was someone they could use and throw away. The machines beside her bed beeped steadily. Outside, Portland rain pattered against the windows. And in that sterile hospital room, something dark and determined took root in Lily's chest. She wasn't the victim in this story, not anymore. She was going to be the reckoning. 3 days passed in that hospital room. 3 days of nurses checking vitals, doctors avoiding eye contact, and Lily pretending to be the broken woman everyone expected her to be. But broken women don't take notes. And Lily was taking a lot of notes. Her laptop sat open on the rolling table, disguised as browsing recovery tips and donor support groups. Instead, she was mapping every connection Marcus had in the pharmaceutical industry, every suspicious transaction in their joint bank account for the past year, every trip he'd taken for work that lined up perfectly with Jade's mysterious girls' weekends. Detective Sarah Morrison arrived on day 2. She was a sharp woman in her 40s with cropped hair and eyes that missed nothing. She sat beside Lily's bed and listened without interrupting as Lily laid out everything: the unauthorized recipient change, the $150,000 deposit, the affair, the planned escape to Bali. "Organ trafficking is federal," Morrison said when Lily finished. "This isn't just theft or fraud. If we can prove Marcus knowingly facilitated an illegal organ sale, we're talking 10 to 20 years minimum." "Can you prove it?" Morrison's jaw tightened. "That depends. How much evidence do you have?" Lily opened a folder on her laptop. Bank transfers. Text messages Jade's ex-boyfriend forwarded. Marcus's work calendar showing meetings with Dr. Reeves, that surgeon who got suspended last year for suspected black market connections. She clicked to another screen. Flight confirmations for 2 tickets to Bali, purchased the same day the $150,000 hit our account. Hotel reservations at a 5-star resort, spa packages, couples massage appointments. Morrison leaned forward, something like respect flickering in her eyes. "You've been busy." "I had a lot of time to think while recovering from unwanted surgery. There's one problem." Morrison pulled up a document on her own tablet. "The consent forms Marcus signed are technically legal. Spouses can make medical decisions for incapacitated partners, and the recipient, whoever they are, was part of a private transplant network that operates in a gray area. Without proof that money changed hands specifically for the organ itself, it's hard to prove trafficking versus a legitimate private donation with separate financial gifts." Lily had expected this. What if the recipient talks? If we can identify them, maybe, but those networks are designed for anonymity. The hospital won't release that information without a warrant, and getting a warrant requires probable cause we don't quite have yet. "So they're going to get away with it." "I didn't say that." Morrison stood up. "I said we need more evidence, the kind that comes from getting them to slip up. Think you can handle that?" Lily met her eyes. "Detective, I was raised by a single mother who worked 3 jobs after my father walked out. I put myself through college while supporting my little sister. I learned medical billing specifically because I wanted to understand how hospitals hide things in paperwork. If there's a trail, I'll find it." Morrison smiled. It wasn't a pleasant smile. "Then let's get to work." That night, after visiting hours ended, Lily did something risky. She called Marcus. He answered on the first ring, his voice tight with panic. "Lily? God, Lily, I've been trying to reach you for days. Your mom wouldn't let me in and—" "Where are you?" she asked quietly. I'm at Dave's place. I've been staying with him since—" He trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. "Since I found out you sold my kidney." "Since you ran away like a coward." "We need to talk." Yes, absolutely. I can explain everything, I swear. It's not what it looks like. I did it for us, Not on the phone. Tomorrow. Meet me at Riverside Park, by the fountain, 2 o'clock. Silence. Then, carefully, "Your mom won't try anything, will she? Because I really think we should have this conversation alone, without— It'll just be me." Lily kept her voice soft, defeated. The voice of a woman who'd been beaten down and was ready to hear excuses. "I just want to understand, Marcus. I want to hear your side." She could almost hear the relief flooding through him. "Thank you. Thank you, baby. You won't regret this. I'll make you understand. Everything I did because I love you." After he hung up, Lily stared at her phone for a long moment. Then she made another call. Detective Morrison? He took the bait. The next day, Lily signed herself out of the hospital against medical advice. The incision still pulled painfully with every movement, but she'd been through worse pain. Physical pain was easy. Physical pain had an endpoint. This pain, the betrayal, the violation, that would take longer to heal. But she could work with it, channel it, use it. Patricia helped her dress in loose jeans and a soft sweater that didn't press against the bandages. "Are you sure about this, baby? You just had major surgery. You should be resting, not—" "Mom, I'm fine." Lily checked her reflection in the bathroom mirror. She looked pale, drawn, exactly like someone who'd just been through trauma. "Perfect. I need to do this. At least let me come with you." "No, he won't talk if you're there. But don't worry." Lily pulled up her sweater slightly, revealing the small recording device taped to her chest. "I won't be alone." Riverside Park was busy for a Wednesday afternoon. Joggers circled the paths, parents pushed strollers, a group of teenagers skateboarded near the pavilion. Normal people living normal lives, unaware that a few feet away, a woman was about to confront the man who'd sold her body parts. Marcus was already waiting by the fountain, pacing. He wore the navy suit she'd bought him for their anniversary, the one he said made him feel confident. His hair was styled, his shoes were polished. He'd dressed up for this, like it was a business meeting instead of a reckoning. When he saw Lily approaching slowly, favoring her left side, his face crumpled with what might have been genuine remorse, or a really good imitation of it. "Lily." He started toward her, but she held up a hand. "Don't." He froze. Okay, I'll stay here. But please, just listen. I know what you must think of me, but I think you drugged me, forged my consent, and sold my kidney to some criminal on the black market so you could run away with my sister." Lily's voice was flat, factual. "Am I wrong?" Marcus flinched. "It wasn't like that. You're making it sound so... So what? So criminal? So evil? How would you describe it, Marcus?" "I made a mistake. A huge, terrible mistake." He ran his hands through his hair, the picture of a tortured man. "But you have to understand. I was desperate. We're drowning in debt. Your medical bills from last year, my student loans, the credit cards, were $87,000 in the hole, Lily. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't think. I was terrified we'd lose everything." This was news to Lily. "What medical bills? I had insurance. The deductible for your appendectomy was $12,000, plus the emergency room fees, My appendectomy was 2 years ago. We made payment arrangements, $200 a month." Lily watched him carefully. "What are you really talking about?" Marcus looked away. There were some investments that didn't pan out. I was trying to make extra money to get us ahead, but you gambled." "No, yes, but it was supposed to be a sure thing. Jake from work told me about this trading opportunity and..." "How much?" "It doesn't matter now, the point is..." "How much, Marcus?" His shoulders slumped. $40,000. But I was going to win it back. I just needed more time. And then this opportunity came up. This guy I know, Dr. Reeves, he mentioned that there are people, wealthy people, who need organs and can't wait for the regular system. They're willing to pay premium prices, no questions asked. So you volunteered my kidney. You were already donating it. You were just giving it away to Robert for free when we could have... He caught himself, but it was too late. The mask had slipped. Lily felt something cold settle in her chest. When we could have made money off it instead. That came out wrong. I just meant... And Jade? Where does she fit into this heartwarming tale of financial desperation? Marcus went very still. That was separate. That was... An affair? A betrayal? Both? It just happened. His voice was quieter now. She understood me. She didn't judge me for the debt or the bad investments. She made me feel like I wasn't failing at everything. So you decided to leave me. Fine. But why the kidney? Why go through with the surgery at all? Why not just ask for a divorce? He laughed, a bitter sound. With what money, Lily? Divorce lawyers cost thousands, and you'd get half of everything, which is half of nothing, plus half of massive debt. But if I could clear the debt first, start fresh with actual cash. He spread his hands. The timing just worked out. You were already scheduled for the surgery. Dr. Reeves knew a buyer. It was clean, quick, and you'd wake up thinking you'd helped Robert. Everyone wins. Except I found out. Yeah. Marcus met her eyes for the first time. That was unfortunate. Unfortunate. He'd called the destruction of her life unfortunate. Where's Jade now? Lily asked. She's staying with a friend. She's pretty torn up about this, actually. She never wanted to hurt you. Just wanted to steal my husband and profit from my organs. She loves me, Lily, and I love her. I know that's hard to hear, but it's the truth. What you and I had, it was safe, comfortable, but it wasn't real passion. Not like what Jade and I have. Lily wanted to laugh, or scream, or both. Instead, she just nodded slowly. Okay. Marcus blinked. Okay? You're right. We weren't passionate. We were stable, reliable. I trusted you completely, and you used that trust to carve me open and sell my pieces. She took a step closer, ignoring the pain in her side. But here's what I need you to understand, Marcus. That kidney you sold? The one keeping some anonymous rich person alive? That's evidence. That's a federal crime with a paper trail. His face went pale. You can't prove. I already did. Bank transfers, text messages, flight reservations, meeting records with Dr. Reeves. Detective Morrison is very interested in all of it. You're bluffing. Am I? Lily pulled out her phone and played a recording. His voice filled the air. You were already donating it. You were just giving it away to Robert for free when we could have made money off it instead. Marcus staggered backward like she'd struck him. You recorded this? That's illegal. Actually, Oregon is a one-party consent state. I can record any conversation I'm part of. Funny thing, I learned that from a medical billing seminar about patient privacy. You remember those seminars you used to make fun of me for attending? She watched the realization dawn on his face. The understanding that he'd underestimated her. That the quiet, stable wife he'd thought would cry and forgive was actually far more dangerous than he'd imagined. Lily, please. His voice cracked. I'll give the money back. I'll call off the trip. I'll do whatever you want. Just don't go to the police. I'll go to prison. My life will be over. Your life? Lily laughed, and it sounded strange even to her own ears. Marcus, you sold my kidney. You violated my body. You stole my choice. And you did it without a second thought because you needed vacation money. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You're sorry you got caught. She turned to walk away, then paused. Oh, and Marcus? Tell Jade I'll be seeing her soon. We have a lot to talk about. She walked back across the park, each step measured and careful. Behind her, she could hear Marcus calling her name, but she didn't turn around. Hidden in the trees near the fountain, Detective Morrison lowered her camera, having captured every moment of the conversation. That evening, back in her mother's apartment where she was staying during recovery, Lily opened her laptop. She had work to do. Financial records to trace, medical networks to infiltrate, a sister to track down. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I know what you're planning. It won't work. Delete everything or you'll regret it. Jade, feeling cornered already. Lily smiled and typed back. You took something from me. Now I'm taking everything from you. See you soon, sis. She hit send and opened a new browser tab. Uncle Robert's lawyer had sent over a civil suit draft. Morrison was working on the criminal warrants, and Lily had just remembered something important. Marcus's pharmaceutical company had a strict ethics policy. Any employee involved in organ trafficking would be immediately terminated and blacklisted from the entire industry. One phone call. That's all it would take to destroy his career forever. But that would be too quick. Too merciful. Lily pulled up a document titled Evidence Log and added today's recording. The file was getting thick now. Bank statements, message screenshots, witness testimony, medical records showing the unauthorized recipient change. She was building a case. Not just a legal case, but something bigger. Something that would strip away everything Marcus and Jade had taken from her and leave them with nothing but regret. Her phone rang. Patricia. Baby, you should see this. Turn on the news. Channel 8. Lily switched on the TV. The local news was running a story about a federal investigation into organ trafficking networks in Portland. Dr. Reeves's photo flashed on screen. The reporter mentioned that several arrests were expected soon. The dominoes were starting to fall, and Marcus and Jade had no idea they were standing directly in the path. Lily touched the bandage on her side, feeling the dull ache beneath. They'd taken a piece of her, literally carved it out while she slept, trusting and defenseless. Now she was going to return the favor, not with a scalpel, but with something far more precise. The truth, the law, and the quiet, methodical destruction of everything they'd built on her stolen flesh. Outside, Portland rain began to fall again. Inside, Lily pulled up a new document and started typing. A timeline. A strategy. A countdown to the moment when Marcus and Jade would finally understand what they'd unleashed. They thought she'd be too weak to fight. Too nice. Too forgiving. They were about to discover just how wrong they were. 1 week after the confrontation in the park, Marcus made his first major mistake. He posted on social media. Lily was sitting in her mother's living room, laptop balanced on her knees, when the notification popped up. Marcus had uploaded a photo to Instagram. Him and Jade at what looked like an upscale restaurant, champagne glasses raised, both smiling like they didn't have a care in the world. The caption read, "Sometimes life takes unexpected turns. Grateful for new beginnings and the courage to follow your heart." New chapter, Our Love Wins. Lily stared at the screen, her coffee going cold in her hand. They weren't hiding anymore. They weren't even pretending to feel guilty. She screenshot the post and added it to her evidence folder. Then she did something she'd been avoiding for days. She called her sister. Jade answered on the third ring. "What do you want?" No hello, no remorse, just hostility. "I want to understand," Lily said calmly. "Help me understand how you justify this." "There's nothing to justify. You and Marcus weren't right for each other. Anyone could see that. I just had the courage to do something about it." "By sleeping with my husband and profiting from my surgery?" Jade laughed, sharp and bitter. "Oh, please. Stop playing the victim. You were giving that kidney away anyway. At least this way, someone who actually appreciated the sacrifice got something out of it." "Someone meaning you and Marcus. We're in love, Lily. Real love. Not that boring, passionless arrangement you called a marriage. Marcus told me everything. How you made him feel trapped, inadequate, like he was never good enough." Lily felt something snap inside her, but she kept her voice level. "Did he also tell you about the $40,000 he gambled away? The debt he was hiding from both of us?" Silence on the other end. "Or did he tell you that the federal investigation into Dr. Reeves includes everyone involved in illegal organ transactions? That Detective Morrison has already subpoenaed bank records showing exactly where that $150,000 came from?" "You're lying." But Jade's voice wavered. "Am I? Check the news. Dr. Reeves was arrested yesterday. He's cooperating with investigators, giving up names. Marcus's name is on the list, Jade, and so is yours. I didn't do anything illegal. I just received a donated kidney through a private medical. You paid $150,000 for it. That's trafficking. That's federal prison time. But you already know that, don't you? That's why you're scared. Another long silence. Then, what do you want? The truth. On record. Everything you and Marcus planned. Everything you did. Every lie you told. You give me that, and maybe I can convince Detective Morrison to consider you a witness instead of a co-conspirator. You'd do that? After everything? I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it because I want Marcus to pay for what he did. And right now, you're my best chance at making that happen. So you have a choice, Jade. Sink together or save yourself. She could hear Jade breathing on the other end, the wheels turning. I need to think about it. You have 48 hours. After that, the offer expires and you go down with him. Lily hung up before Jade could respond. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear, from adrenaline, from the growing certainty that she was going to win this. The next morning, Uncle Robert's lawyer arrived at Patricia's apartment. His name was David Chen, and he was nothing like Lily expected. She'd imagined someone old and stern, but David was maybe 40, sharp-eyed, with the kind of quiet intensity that suggested he missed very little. Your uncle told me what happened, he said, settling into the armchair across from Lily. I've been practicing medical malpractice and patient rights law for 15 years. I've never seen anything quite like this. Is there a case? Multiple cases. Civil liability against Marcus for unauthorized medical decisions causing harm. Potential malpractice against the hospital for failing to verify consent properly. And that's before we get into the criminal side. He pulled out a tablet. Detective Morrison sent me the evidence you've collected. It's impressive, very thorough. I had good motivation. I can see that. He swiped through several documents. The recording from the park is particularly damning. Marcus essentially confessed to organ trafficking. Combined with the bank records and Dr. Reeves's arrest, this is an open and shut criminal case. So they're going to prison. Almost certainly. But there's something else you should know. David looked up, his expression serious. The recipient of your kidney? We found them. Lily's breath caught. How? Hospital records are harder to seal than people think when you know where to look. The recipient's name is Thomas Whitmore, tech billionaire, 52 years old. Been on the transplant waiting list for 3 years, but kept getting passed over due to lifestyle factors, mainly his refusal to quit drinking. So he bought his way off the waiting list. Exactly. And here's where it gets interesting. Whitmore has a daughter, Emily Whitmore. She's a journalist for the Portland Tribune. Investigative reporting. Very aggressive. Very good at her job. Lily sat forward. Does she know how her father got the kidney? Not yet. But I'm thinking she should. A slow smile spread across Lily's face. You want to tell her? I want you to tell her. You're the victim. You're the one whose body was commodified. If anyone has the right to blow this story wide open, it's you. David leaned back. Marcus and Jade can go to prison quietly. Or this can become a national news story about organ trafficking, wealthy elites buying their way to health, and the vulnerability of patients under anesthesia. Your choice. Lily thought about Marcus's Instagram post, the arrogance, the assumption that they'd gotten away with it. Set up the meeting. 2 days later, Lily sat in a coffee shop downtown, waiting. She'd chosen a corner table with a view of the door, her laptop open in front of her. The incision had healed enough that she could move without too much pain, though she still caught herself touching the bandage beneath her shirt. Emily Whitmore arrived exactly on time. She was tall, blonde, probably early 30s, with the kind of sharp, assessing gaze that came from years of hunting down stories. She slid into the seat across from Lily without preamble. David Chen said you had information about my father's kidney transplant. I'm listening. Lily opened her laptop and turned it so Emily could see the screen. 3 weeks ago, I donated my kidney. Or I thought I was donating it to my uncle, who's been on dialysis for 2 years. Instead, my husband sold it to your father for $150,000. Emily's expression didn't change, but her fingers tightened around her coffee cup. That's a serious accusation. It's a documented fact. Lily clicked through the files. Bank records, medical documentation, the recording from the park, text messages between Marcus and Jade. Your father paid Dr. Reeves to facilitate an illegal transplant. My husband forged my consent. I woke up from surgery to discover my kidney was gone and my husband was planning to run away to Bali with my sister. Emily was quiet for a long moment, scanning through the documents. When she finally looked up, her face was unreadable. Why are you telling me this? Because your father bought a stolen organ. Because the system that allowed this to happen is still operating. Because other people are being victimized right now, and someone needs to expose it. Lily paused. And because Marcus and the people who helped him need to face consequences that go beyond a quiet prison sentence. You want revenge. I want justice. There's a difference. Emily studied her. If I write this story, your life becomes public. Everyone will know what happened to you. You'll be the woman who got her kidney stolen. That label doesn't go away. I know, but staying quiet means they win. And I'm done letting them win. Something shifted in Emily's expression. Respect, maybe, or recognition of a kindred spirit. My father's not a good man. He never has been. If he bought his way to health while other people died waiting, then he deserves what's coming. She pulled out her phone. Give me everything you have. I'll need to verify it independently, interview sources, build the story. It'll take a couple weeks. I don't have a couple weeks. Marcus and Jade think they're safe. If we wait too long, they might run. Then I'll work fast. Emily stood up. One more question. Are you prepared for what happens when this goes public? Because it won't just be Marcus and Jade who suffer. Everyone involved, the hospital, the doctors, the medical networks that facilitate these transactions, they'll all come after you. They'll try to discredit you, destroy your reputation, make you wish you'd stayed quiet. Lily met her eyes steadily. Let them try. They already took a piece of me. What else can they possibly take that matters? Emily smiled. It wasn't a warm smile, but it was genuine. I like you. This is going to be a hell of a story. After Emily left, Lily sat alone in the coffee shop, staring at her laptop screen. Her phone buzzed. A text from Detective Morrison. Jade cracked. Coming in tomorrow to give statement. We'll have enough for arrest warrants by end of week. Then another text, this one from an unknown number. You're making a huge mistake. Drop this now or I'll make sure you regret it. You have no idea who you're messing with. Lily recognized the tone. Marcus, trying to sound threatening. It might have worked 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, she'd believed he was a good man who loved her. 3 weeks ago, she'd trusted him with her life. Now she knew better. She typed back. I know exactly who I'm messing with. A coward who sells his wife's organs and runs away. See you in court. She hit send and closed her laptop. Time to go home. To her mother's apartment, which felt more like home now than the place she'd shared with Marcus ever had. On the way out, she passed a newsstand. The headline on the Tribune caught her eye. Federal investigation expands into Portland organ trafficking network. It was starting, the machinery of justice grinding into motion. Slow, but inevitable. That night, Lily couldn't sleep. She lay in the guest room bed, staring at the ceiling, her mind racing through everything that still needed to happen. Jade's statement, the arrest warrants, Emily's article going to print, the civil lawsuits, the criminal trials. It would take months, maybe years. But she had time. And she had something Marcus and Jade didn't have. She had the truth. Documented, verified, undeniable. Her phone lit up with a notification. Marcus had deleted his Instagram post. Too late. Lily had already saved it, already added it to the evidence file that kept growing, day by day, piece by piece. They thought they could erase their mistakes, delete their tracks, start over like nothing had happened. But you can't delete federal evidence. You can't start over when your crimes are documented in hospital records and bank statements and recordings that played your own words back to a jury. Marcus and Jade were about to learn that lesson the hard way. And Lily? She was going to have a front row seat to their education. She touched the bandage on her side one more time. The scar would fade eventually, but it would never fully disappear. She'd carry this mark for the rest of her life. But she wouldn't carry it as a victim. She'd carry it as a reminder of the day she stopped being someone people could use, of the day she became someone they should have feared. Tomorrow, Jade would walk into the police station and tell Detective Morrison everything. The affair, the planning, the money, all of it. And the day after that, arrest warrants would be issued. The trap was set. The bait was taken. Now, all that remained was watching it snap shut. Lily closed her eyes, and for the first time since waking up from surgery, she slept peacefully. Because she knew what was coming. And it was going to be beautiful. Jade walked into the Portland Police Department at 9:47 a.m. on a Thursday morning. Lily watched from across the street, sitting in her mother's car, as her sister climbed the concrete steps with shoulders hunched like she was walking to her own execution. In a way, she was. Detective Morrison had texted Lily earlier. "She's here, recording everything. You were right about her. She'll sell out Marcus completely to save herself." 4 hours later, Morrison sent another text. "Got everything we need. Warrants approved. Moving in tomorrow morning." Lily read the message 3 times. Tomorrow. After weeks of planning, gathering evidence, building an unbreakable case, it was finally happening. She forwarded the text to David Chen, then to Emily Whitmore. The pieces were all in place. Now they just needed to fall. That evening, Marcus called her. Lily let it ring 4 times before answering, keeping her voice neutral. "What do you want?" "Jade told me she went to the police today." His voice was tight, controlled. "I know you put her up to it. I gave her a choice. She made it. You're destroying our lives over a mistake. One mistake, Lily. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is leaving the oven on. What you did was calculated, planned, and executed while I was unconscious and helpless. That's not a mistake. That's a crime. I'll give you anything you want. The money, the house, everything. Just make this stop. You don't have anything I want anymore, Marcus. You sold the only thing of value, my kidney, remember? Please." His voice cracked. "I'm begging you. They're talking about federal charges, prison. I can't go to prison, Lily. I won't survive. You should have thought about that before you turned my body into a commodity." She hung up. Her hands were steady. Her conscience was clear. The next morning, Lily woke to her phone exploding with notifications. She grabbed it, squinting at the screen. The Portland Tribune's headline dominated every news app. "Stolen Organs. How Portland's elite buy their way to health, while patients die waiting." Emily's article. It had gone live at 6 a.m. Lily opened it with shaking hands and began to read. The story had everything. Marcus's name, Jade's name, Dr. Reeves's illegal network, Thomas Whitmore's purchase, the $150,000 transaction, the forged consent forms. And at the center of it all, Lily's story, told with devastating clarity. Emily had included the recording from the park, transcribed it word for word. "You were already donating it. You were just giving it away to Robert for free when we could have made money off it instead." By 7 a.m., it had gone viral. By 8 a.m., news vans were parked outside Marcus's friend Dave's house where Marcus had been staying. At 8:47 a.m., federal agents and Portland police executed the arrest warrant. Patricia had her TV on when it happened. Lily watched from the couch as local news helicopters captured footage of Marcus being led out in handcuffs, his face pale and stunned. Behind him, agents carried boxes of evidence from the house. Marcus Cooper, 34, was arrested this morning on federal charges, including organ trafficking, fraud, and conspiracy, the news anchor reported. He's accused of illegally selling his wife's kidney without her consent to facilitate a black market transplant. Lily's phone rang. Detective Morrison. We got him. Clean arrest. No incidents. He didn't say anything except to ask for a lawyer. And Jade? Being processed as a cooperating witness for now, but the DA's still deciding whether to charge her as a co-conspirator. Depends on how useful her testimony is. Morrison paused. How are you holding up? I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. Good, because it's about to get intense. Media's going crazy with this story. Your name is out there. You're going to get interview requests, probably harassment from Marcus's family and friends, maybe even threats. Are you prepared for that? I am. Then enjoy the show. This is your win, Lily. You earned it. By noon, the story had spread nationally. Cable news picked it up. Social media exploded with outrage. Hashtags trended. Justice for Lily, organ trafficking, and stolen kidney. Marcus's pharmaceutical company released a statement. We are shocked and appalled by the allegations against Marcus Cooper. He has been terminated effective immediately, and we are cooperating fully with federal investigators. Thomas Whitmore's tech company issued their own statement. Mr. Whitmore has taken a leave of absence pending the outcome of the investigation. We take these allegations extremely seriously. Lily sat in her mother's living room, watching her story consume the national conversation. People she'd never met were defending her, supporting her, calling Marcus and Jade monsters. Her phone buzzed constantly. Messages from old friends, former co-workers, distant relatives. Everyone wanted to know if she was okay, if she needed anything, if there was anything they could do. At 2 p.m., Marcus's mother called. Lily almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. How could you do this to him? Helen Cooper's voice was shrill with fury. He's your husband. You stood in a church and promised to stand by him through everything, and now you've destroyed his entire life over one mistake. One mistake. Lily repeated the words slowly. Mrs. Cooper, your son sold my kidney while I was unconscious. He forged my medical consent. He planned to abandon me and run away with my sister. Exactly which part of that sounds like a mistake to you? He was under stress. He made a bad decision. But you didn't have to go to the police. You didn't have to tell the newspapers. You could have handled this privately. The way you handled his father's affairs privately? Lily's voice was cold now. I know about that, Helen. I know Richard had another family in Seattle. I know you looked the other way for 20 years because keeping up appearances mattered more than the truth. Silence. Your son learned from the best, Lily continued. He learned that lying is acceptable if you don't get caught. That using people is fine as long as you smile while doing it. That consequences are for other people. Well, he got caught. And now he gets to face consequences. Maybe you should have taught him better. She hung up before Helen could respond. At 4 p.m., Jade showed up at Patricia's apartment. Lily watched through the window as her sister climbed out of a taxi, looking around nervously before approaching the building. Patricia answered the door, her face hard. You have a lot of nerve coming here. I need to talk to Lily, please. Just 5 minutes. Lily stood up, her side still aching slightly. Let her in, Mom. Patricia stepped aside reluctantly. Jade entered, and Lily was struck by how different she looked. Smaller somehow. The confidence that usually radiated from her was gone, replaced by something that looked like fear. Say what you came to say, Lily said. I'm sorry. Jade's voice was barely above a whisper. I know that's not enough. I know sorry doesn't fix anything. But I need you to know that I never meant. Stop. Lily held up her hand. You meant every bit of it. You slept with my husband for 8 months. You took money from the sale of my kidney. You booked a luxury vacation while I was recovering from surgery I never fully consented to. You meant all of it. I was in love. I thought. You thought you'd get away with it. That I'd never find out, or that if I did, I'd be too weak to do anything about it. Lily took a step closer. But here's what you didn't count on, Jade. You didn't count on me being stronger than you ever were. You always thought I was the boring sister. The safe one. The one who followed rules and avoided conflict. And you used that against me. Jade's eyes filled with tears. What do you want me to say? Nothing. I don't want anything from you. I want you to understand that actions have consequences. That betrayal has a price. You and Marcus decided my body was something you could profit from. Now you get to live with what that decision cost you. The DA says I might avoid charges if I testify against Marcus, that I'll probably just face civil liability. I know. Detective Morrison told me. So I'll lose everything financially, but I won't go to prison. Jade wiped her eyes. I guess I should be grateful for that. You should be grateful I'm not pressing for them to charge you as a co-conspirator. The only reason I'm not is because your testimony guarantees Marcus goes away for a long time. You're useful. That's the only value you have left. Jade flinched like she'd been slapped. Now get out of my mother's house. And Jade? Lily waited until her sister met her eyes. If you ever contact me again, I'll make sure the DA knows you weren't as cooperative as you pretended to be. Stay away from me. Stay away from Mom. You're not family anymore. Jade left without another word. Patricia locked the door behind her and pulled Lily into a hug. You were magnificent, Patricia whispered. That night, Lily received an email from David Chen. The subject line read, Civil Settlement Offers. She opened it. Marcus's parents were offering $300,000 to settle all civil claims and avoid a trial. Thomas Whitmore's lawyers were offering $500,000 plus a public apology. Lily stared at the numbers. That money could change her life. Pay off debt, start over, maybe even go back to school like she'd always wanted. But accepting it felt like letting them buy their way out of true accountability. She called David. Turn down both offers. We go to trial. I want a jury to hear what they did. I want it on the public record. That's going to be a long, painful process. They'll attack your character, dig into your past, try to make you look like you're just after money. Let them try. The evidence speaks for itself. And I'm tired of people like Marcus and Whitmore thinking they can write a check and make their crimes disappear. All right, then we go to war. Over the next few days, the story continued to dominate headlines. More victims came forward. People who'd been exploited by Dr. Reeves's network. Families of patients who died waiting for organs while wealthy buyers jumped the line. Congress announced hearings on organ trafficking. Medical boards opened investigations. The entire system that had enabled Marcus's crime was being exposed, dismantled, examined under a microscope. And at the center of it all was Lily's story. The woman who'd been victimized but refused to stay silent, who'd built an unbreakable case and brought down everyone involved. Marcus's arraignment was scheduled for the following Monday. Lily planned to be there, sitting in the front row, watching him face the consequences of treating her like she didn't matter. On Sunday night, her phone buzzed with one final text from Marcus. I hope you're happy. You've destroyed everything. Was it worth it? Lily looked at the message for a long moment. Then she typed her reply. You destroyed everything the moment you decided my body was yours to sell. I just made sure everyone knew about it. She blocked his number and set her phone aside. Tomorrow, she'd watch him stand before a judge. Tomorrow, the man who'd promised to love and cherish her would plead not guilty to crimes the entire world knew he'd committed. And Lily would sit there, calm and strong, knowing she'd done something most victims never get the chance to do. She'd fought back. She'd won. and she'd made sure that everyone who'd helped Marcus, everyone who'd enabled the system that commodified human bodies, would pay the price. The scar on her side would never fully fade, but neither would the knowledge that she'd transformed her violation into justice. Not just for herself, but for everyone else who'd been exploited by people who thought money and connections put them above the law. If you've been following Lily's journey and want to see how this story ends, make sure you're subscribed. Because what comes next, the trials, the verdicts, the final reckoning, you won't want to miss a single moment. Marcus had asked if it was worth it. As Lily turned off the lights and settled into bed, she knew the answer. It was worth everything. The courtroom was smaller than Lily expected. She'd imagined something grand, dramatic, like the trials on television. Instead, it was an ordinary room with fluorescent lights and worn wooden benches. But what happened inside was anything but ordinary. Marcus stood before Judge Patricia Hendricks, flanked by 2 expensive lawyers his parents had hired. He wore a gray suit and kept his eyes down, refusing to look at the gallery where Lily sat in the front row. "Mr. Cooper," Judge Hendricks said, her voice sharp, "you've been found guilty by a jury of your peers on all counts: organ trafficking, fraud, conspiracy, forgery of medical documents. Before I hand down your sentence, do you have anything to say?" Marcus's lawyer whispered something to him. Marcus shook his head. "Very well." Judge Hendricks opened a folder. "What you did to your wife represents one of the most egregious violations of trust I've encountered in 30 years on the bench. You didn't just betray her emotionally. You commodified her body. You sold her flesh while she was unconscious and helpless, trusting that the man who promised to protect her would keep her safe." She paused, looking directly at Marcus. "You will serve 15 years in federal prison. No possibility of parole for the first 7 years. Additionally, you are ordered to pay full restitution to Mrs. Cooper in the amount of $847,000, the value determined by the civil jury for her pain, suffering, and permanent bodily harm." Marcus's knees buckled. One of his lawyers caught his arm. "Furthermore," the judge continued, "you are permanently banned from working in any medical, pharmaceutical, or healthcare-related field. Court adjourned." The gavel came down with a crack that echoed through the silent courtroom. Lily watched as they led Marcus away. He finally looked at her then, just before the bailiff took him through the door. His face was hollow, aged 10 years in the 6 months since his arrest. She felt nothing. No satisfaction, no anger, no sadness, just a quiet sense of completion. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Lily had learned to navigate them over the past months. Say enough to satisfy them, not enough to give them ammunition. "Mrs. Cooper, how do you feel about the verdict?" "Relieved. Justice was served." "Do you think 15 years is enough?" "I think the legal system did its job. That's all I can ask for." "What about your sister Jade? She avoided criminal charges by testifying. How do you feel about that?" Lily paused. "My sister will have to live with what she did. That's punishment enough." It wasn't entirely true. Jade had been ordered to pay $200,000 in civil damages, money she didn't have and would be paying off for decades. Her nursing license had been suspended pending an ethics investigation. Her social media accounts had been flooded with so much hatred, she'd deleted everything and disappeared. Last Lily heard, Jade was working at a call center in Ohio, living in a studio apartment, alone and ostracized by everyone who knew what she'd done. The civil trial against Thomas Whitmore had ended differently. His lawyers had fought hard, arguing he'd been a victim too, misled by Dr. Reeves about the organ's origins. But Emily Whitmore's article had included documented proof that her father knew exactly what he was buying. The jury awarded Lily $1.2 million in damages. Whitmore's company forced him into retirement. His daughter stopped speaking to him. He lived alone now in his mansion, healthy but isolated, his reputation destroyed. Dr. Reeves got 22 years. His medical license was permanently revoked. 3 other doctors in his network were also convicted and sentenced. 18 months after waking up in that hospital room, Lily stood in the doorway of her new apartment in Seattle. It was small but modern, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Sound. She'd used part of the settlement money to move, to start fresh somewhere nobody knew her story. She'd enrolled in a master's program in healthcare policy at the University of Washington. Her thesis was on organ donation reform and patient rights. Several advocacy groups had already reached out, asking her to consult, to speak, to help reshape the systems that had failed her. Uncle Robert had finally received a kidney transplant from a legitimate donor through the proper channels. He was recovering well, calling Lily every Sunday to check on her and tell his terrible jokes. Patricia had moved to Seattle too, taking early retirement to be close to her daughter. They had dinner together twice a week, slowly rebuilding trust and learning to exist in a world where Jade's absence was permanent. Detective Morrison sent occasional updates. Marcus was adjusting poorly to prison life. He'd been moved to protective custody after other inmates learned what he'd done. Apparently, even criminals had standards about bodily autonomy. Emily Whitmore won a Pulitzer Prize for her investigative series on organ trafficking. She credited Lily in her acceptance speech, calling her the bravest person I've ever met. On a gray Seattle morning in November, Lily stood before a lecture hall filled with medical students. She'd been invited to speak about patient advocacy and informed consent. "My name is Lily Cooper," she began, her voice steady. 18 months ago, someone I trusted violated my body in the worst way imaginable. He took something from me that I can never get back. But here's what he didn't take: my voice, my strength, my refusal to be defined by what he did to me. She told her story, the full story, watching the students' faces shift from curiosity to horror to respect. "The system that allowed this to happen is still broken," she continued. "Patients are still vulnerable. Consent is still sometimes treated as a formality rather than a fundamental right. But every day, people like you have the chance to change that, to treat your patients as human beings, not as bodies to be managed, to understand that trust is sacred and violating it, for any reason, is unforgivable." After the lecture, a young woman approached her. "Thank you for sharing your story. My mom needed a kidney last year. She was so scared of something going wrong, of not having control. But she found a good doctor who listened to her, who made sure she understood everything. She's doing great now." Lily smiled. That's how it should be. Every time. That evening, she sat by her window watching the sunset over Puget Sound. Her phone buzzed with an email notification. It was from the National Organ Donation Council. They wanted her to join their advisory board, to help craft new policies protecting donors and ensuring transparency in the transplant system. She typed her acceptance immediately. The scar on her side had faded to a thin white line. She touched it sometimes, not out of pain, but as a reminder of survival, of strength, of the choice she'd made to fight back instead of staying silent. Her phone buzzed again. A text from a number she didn't recognize. "I saw you on the news. Your story inspired me to report my husband for financial abuse. Thank you for showing me it's possible to fight back." A stranger who's not a stranger anymore. Lily saved the message. She got them sometimes, from people who'd read her story and found the courage to stand up for themselves. Each one reminded her why she'd refused to stay quiet, even when it would have been easier. Marcus had asked if it was worth it, if destroying his life was worth the cost. But he'd never understood. She hadn't destroyed his life. He'd done that himself the moment he decided her body was his to sell. She'd simply made sure the world knew about it. And in doing so, she'd saved herself. Not just from him, but from the person she used to be. The woman who stayed quiet to keep the peace, who accepted less than she deserved, because confrontation felt harder than submission. That woman was gone. In her place stood someone stronger, Someone who knew her worth couldn't be measured in dollars or defined by what someone else had taken from her. The best revenge isn't destruction. It's transformation. It's taking the worst thing that ever happened to you and using it as fuel to become someone better, someone stronger, someone who helps others avoid the same fate. Marcus would spend the next 15 years in a cell, thinking about what he'd lost. Lily would spend them building a life that mattered, advocating for change, helping other victims, proving that survival isn't enough. You can thrive. As darkness fell over Seattle, Lily closed her laptop and looked at her reflection in the window. She barely recognized the woman looking back. Harder, yes. More guarded, definitely. But also more alive than she'd ever been. She'd been carved open, violated, betrayed by the two people she loved most. And she'd survived it. More than survived, she'd won. Not because Marcus was in prison. Not because she had settlement money. But because she'd refused to let what they did to her define who she became. They took her kidney. She took back her power. And in the end, that was the only victory that mattered. The lesson. When someone betrays you, when they use you and discard you like you're nothing, the best revenge isn't matching their cruelty. It's proving they were wrong about you. It's rising so far above what they did that their actions become footnotes in your story, instead of the whole narrative. Lily could have stayed quiet. Could have accepted a settlement and disappeared. Could have let shame and violation consume her. Instead, she stood up. She fought back. She transformed her pain into purpose and her trauma into triumph. That's not just revenge. That's resurrection. If Lily's journey showed you that strength isn't about avoiding pain, it's about what you do with it afterward. Share this story. Subscribe to hear more stories of people who refused to be victims and became victors instead. Because the world needs more people like Lily. People who fight back, who demand justice, who prove that the human spirit is stronger than any betrayal. Remember, they can take your trust, your body, even pieces of your flesh. But they can't take your power unless you give it to them. Lily never did. And look where she is now.